Hi, everybody. Welcome to Down Syndrome, the 21st Perspectives. I'm your host, Ann Lewis, and today we have Lisa Eicher.
Hello.
And Lisa is the owner of Sandal Gap Studio, and she's also a mom of 4 kids, and 2 of those children have Down syndrome. And so we're going to hear today Lisa's story and all the great stuff about Sandal Gap.
Yeah.
So thanks, Lisa.
Awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
so
Thanks for
glad
having me.
I met you.
Yeah. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you were one of the first people when I had Fritz that my husband knew your husband and introduced us. And I remember he was like 3 months old.
Yeah.
And I went to like one of the Sandal Gap functions.
I remember.
And I thought I was going to be like with all these like granola moms who had babies way too late in life.
Right.
And I got there and it was like a sorority party.
Yeah.
I was like DJ and I'm dancing with all these cute young girls. And it was a party.
Yeah.
And that's when I don't know, you kind of just made it feel like this is going to be okay.
Right.
And just to watch you and your story, and you'll learn that Lisa adopted her 2 children with Down syndrome, and it's a beautiful story that I'm going to have you tell. But it just gave me, because at first I looked at it like, oh my gosh, why'd this happen to me? And, all that. And then to see that somebody chooses it and builds a beautiful life around it was just so helpful in our journey.
Good.
So,
I love that. That makes me happy.
Yeah. No, yeah, for
that
sure.
That makes me happy.
Real.
It's really why I even share our stories, that just to let other moms see, like, the reality of it. It's beautiful. It's hard. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it comes with its challenges. But it's such a unique and special life that comes with so much more joy than people really can imagine. And like our parties at Sandal Gap are the best. People come in and they leave and are like, what the heck?
Right.
Like this was epic.
Fun.
Yeah.
Let's tell everybody how you came to be a mom of kids with Down syndrome.
Sure. When I was little, 3rd grade, really, I can remember one of the teachers walking into our class and saying, does anybody want to come and hang out with the special needs kids for a little while? And I had never had any experience with that yet, but it sounded intriguing to me, and I immediately raised my hand and went in there, and that was kind of like a life-changing moment for me. I knew that I loved kids with Down syndrome and that whole community, and I also knew that I wanted to adopt one day. And then when I kind of was introduced to the whole world of that there are kids all over the world waiting for families, I was like, oh, this is it. Archie came first, and when my biological daughter was 3 when Archie came home, and he was 7 at the time when he came home, and then it was 6 years later that we brought Sevi home when she was 12. So there was they're both from Bulgaria. Okay. Different parts of Bulgaria.
Why did you choose there? Is it easier, quicker?
Honestly, it's just what at the time we qualified for. There's different qualifications that you have to meet for different countries. And also a big thing for us was we couldn't travel for a month at a time. We couldn't be gone for a month. And a lot of countries, countries you have to stay for 3 weeks, a month, 6 weeks even. Bulgaria is 2 short trips. So you go one trip, you go to meet the kid, make sure you want to move forward, and then you come back home for several months while they do all the behind the scenes.
It's so crazy why it takes so long.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
You're this family that wants to have this child out of your orphanage.
Yeah.
It's just they make it so hard.
It's crazy. That's a
and
whole...
to think, was he in an orphanage that whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was 7.
He was in an orphanage from birth to 7, the same place.
When you went over there, was it a sad situation?
Oh, yeah.
Did you, just then you're just gotta get him out of there?
Uh-huh, yeah. The in-between part was really hard because, I saw where we were leaving him.
He seemed so happy in all of the videos and, just so bonded with you. Was there a challenge with that?
With Archie, it was probably, the most fairy tale, adoption that you could imagine, as far as, we really connected right away. He was, I felt like he was my baby right away. He bonded with me. I bonded with him. And him with his sister. They were immediately attached. They were best friends and still are. there was some challenges. The challenges weren't necessarily me like bonding with him, which is often a challenge, especially with older kids. And when we get to Sevi, that's a whole different story. But Archie was like right away. I was like, this is my baby. I felt it. Yeah. I felt protective. I felt that motherly instinct was immediate with him. We did have lots of different challenges just because he had never lived in society. He lived in, an institution his whole life. So he didn't really, there's just regular things, being out in public, trying to, teach him how to behave. And there were struggles.
Sure.
There were struggles, but overall, it was a pretty smooth transition into our family for him.
Yeah. And then you said it was how many? Well, so did you have your
Then
second
I had
child?
another one,
Okay,
yeah. So it's very, we did it all unconventional. We had a baby biologically, then adopted Archie, who was older than Ace, our firstborn, and then we had another one biologically, and then adopted Sevi. So like my most recent is my oldest.
Sure.
And my first baby is my second youngest. So
Sevi's now 22,
22,
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how old's Archie?
He's about to be 22.
Oh, okay.
In 10 days. He keeps reminding me his birthday's coming up. So he's about to be 22. Yeah.
Well, and Archie was also like on the ads for The Gap. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. We got to fly to New York, and he was part of the Gap campaign.
How did that come about?
Gosh, he had been doing like some modeling. He
Just here in Houston?
just here just kind of like for fun. I mean, he was signed with an agency, and he did. I think what really kicked it off was he did a photo shoot with this guy who was on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, whatever. He was a contestant on The Bachelorette, and he was a model, and we connected with him, and they did a photo shoot together.
Oh, that's cute.
And then Gap reached out to us and asked if he wanted to be a part of this campaign, and I was like, absolutely. So we got to go to New York.
I
and
literally
do the whole
remember
thing.
being in the store in Houston. I was like, I know him.
Yeah.
So
he had a big old picture up in the stores. He got to be in a commercial. So that was
That's awesome.
It was a really cool experience.
So then when you got Sevi came, and she is the reason for the Sandal Gap
Correct.
Studio from the story I remember.
Yep, that's right.
She was struggling with not being verbal, and you put her in art therapy.
Yes. So we just discovered it. It was very random. Like her transition into our family was not like Archie's. It was very tough, especially for me. We did not bond right away, and the nonverbal part was hard. Archie, while he didn't really have any English, he could at least the communication was easier with him, and he picked up English really quickly. And then he can speak, so he could communicate his needs a little better with her. Communication was hard. She also had spent 12 years in her institution, and she had kind of also been bounced around to different places, different orphanages, and so which kind of even hurts the attachment stuff even more.
Yeah.
A little more
Just
trauma.
thinking this is going to be another one.
Just moving from one place to the next, not knowing what's coming, if she's staying, if she's going. So she pushed really hard. She tested me a lot. I mean, it was some of the hard, and it went on for a long time, hardest few years of my life. But it was after Hurricane Harvey. We were downstairs cleaning up, and had sort of a whole mess at our house because we flooded bad. And we had some old plywood and house paints just down in the garage. And she started painting. We kind of put some stuff on the ground, gave her some house paints, and she grabbed some tools, not even paintbrushes, crowbars and scrapers and all this stuff. And she just started painting, and we were just, both hands doing all these crazy things. And I just watched her jaw dropped, oh my gosh.
Wow, yeah.
She knows what she's doing. It was really wild.
Did you ever find out if they had done any of that with her?
They had not. She had never, I mean, I just know based on her situation and being there that she had never really done art. She'd never watched art. People are always like, how'd she learn these things? I'm like, she didn't learn it from anyone. It's just in her.
Yeah.
So then I was kind of maybe I'm being biased because she's my kid, but I was I think it's pretty amazing. So I posted a few on Instagram, and people were like, oh my God, people were just as blown away as I was. And then that kind of took us on a whole new journey.
Right.
Well,
and I love what I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your other daughter, Ace, was the one that came to you and said, we need to make a place for the kids with disabilities to feel safe.
It was her.
Have a place.
It was her idea actually before.
And she was what, 8?
She was probably 8-ish, 8 or 9 when she came to me with kind of that like dream. And it was before Sevi started painting that she had this dream. And I, for a long time, I was like, okay, it was before that. She said she wanted some sort of space for people with disabilities to come and feel included, and for her siblings to have, friends and become a little community. And it was before Sevi started painting, and I was kind of like, okay, well, what does that look like? Like, what's the thing? We can't just like have a room and throw everybody in it, and it's got to have some reason why we're there. And then one day, Ace and some of her friends were sitting at our kitchen table painting with Sevi, and there weren't any words, they were just kind of painting, but they were all communicating in their own way, and then I was just like, oh my gosh, it's art. Like that's the vehicle. And so it just kind of was a light bulb moment where I was like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create an art studio, because everyone can create. And so that's kind of how, Sandal Gap, was born.
Well, and the funny thing is that the title, the name of your place, when I was having my ultrasound with Fritz, and I didn't do any testing, and they were like, no, the heart and the brain, like measurements, like everything was fine.
Right.
And then I noticed, because I was scared, because I was 44. And so that was in my head. And so I did notice when she was doing the scan, like his toes had a space. And it looked different to me. And so I went home and I looked it up, and I came across this whole chat room of people talking about their Sandal Gap foot.
Sure.
And so anyways, that was like the only symptom that I knew of was Sandal Gap. And
that's so funny. Cool it's one of my I love all of their little quirky physical traits that they have, and that's just one of them that I love. Mine both have it big time. But there's so many little quirky little physical traits.
Well, they say there's like 60 markers.
Yeah,
and
you don't have all exactly.
Yeah.
So my kids don't have have all of them, but that is one that they have that I'm always like, it's such a cute little funny little.
Well, and the other thing about you too, and we'll put your Instagram and stuff up, but when I watched you, it was always, you were just so funny and real, and you just said everything that's going on, and Sevi giving the middle finger. I mean, and you would just show videos of your chaotic mornings and just making it so real.
Right.
And I feel like so many people can relate to that versus all this perfection that you see on the internet all the time.
I think in the beginning I was afraid to show some of the harder stuff. And when Archie would have kind of his I called them episodes, where he was just kind of he just kind of got tunnel vision and would kind of get into little rages. And I had to Google how to safely restrain a child, because he had so much trauma, and I had to there were some hard times, and I was like,
was this because of puberty?
No, it was really just from institutional life. Yeah. It was just trauma, and just being scared, really.
Yeah.
And it and there's some things that I was too afraid to share in the beginning, because I didn't want, because like you said, I did see all of these it's so beautiful and everything's perfect and magical and butterflies and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, even with adoption itself, a lot of times it's so over romanticized, and you look, and if you feel like you're doing something wrong, if you're not magically bonded to that child, or
did you ever have the thoughts of what did we do?
With Sevi, yes, for a long time. I mean, and it wasn't until I started sharing a little more openly and honestly, and I'm a pretty vulnerable person. I don't mind people seeing the hard parts of things. And so I did start sharing a little more openly and the struggles and stuff. And that's when people my DMs would be flooded.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Though? I mean, we used to leave parties as adults.
Right.
Well, a while ago, and my husband would say to me at the end, like, is there just like 20% of our life that we can like keep private? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Because when I share or if I have a problem, then someone else is going to usually say like, oh, I had that happen, or I know somebody, or here's a doctor that would help you, or whatever it is. I was reading the post about when Ace got pneumonia.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just the way you write is just, it's so funny. And it's not funny. I mean, it's your life, and it was a really scary moment. But like the car breaking down,
oh my God,
climbing up the hill, and he's in his pajamas, and the way he described it. I mean, it was, I almost feel like we have to like link all of that because people go look at her Instagram because it's funny. Like
you know, I think that is, you know, I grew up in a family where we laughed a lot. And I've been a single mom for 5 years, and you know, pretty much doing it on my own, and that's a whole different thing.
Even with kids that are typical, that's a hard job.
Yeah, it's a lot, but
and then you're running a business, which we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
So Sandal Gap started how many years ago?
7 years. Yeah.
And I know you have 4 main programs that you do, so I'll let you talk about all of those.
Yeah. So we have our resident artist program, which is it's a kind of a day program, but it's their job. So the artists, most of them have Down syndrome. We have one who has autism. But we welcome, you know, all disabilities.
So like we were talking about earlier, they graduate from high school. Is that the age you're kind of going for?
That's kind of what it's actually really started with. When we initially started, our first hires were more like late 20s.
And this is like a little job. They get to
this
make
is their job.
Yes.
So they sell their art. They come in and they come in. I mean, they're there Monday through Thursday. And it's their job. And
they're there from what? Like
they're there from 10 to 2.
Okay.
And so they do their art, they eat lunch together, and then we have some sort of like special activity. And it's very much like a little family, and it's their world.
That's
and they love it. And a lot of them have been there with me since, you know, for 5-6 years. So
many moms are at that stage thinking, what do I do? What do we do now?
Yeah.
And that's, you know.
Yeah, I really wanted to create a place that was, you didn't have to, first of all, pay an arm and a leg to have your kids go to, you know, your adult children be during the day. I wanted them to have a space where, you know, everyone can afford it. So that's kind of the structure that we've had it, that it's more their job as opposed to like a day program.
So the families pay to have their child a part of the program.
They don't pay.
The kids make money off of it.
So they don't actually pay. The way we structured it now, and it took me a long time to get to a place to figure out what was most fair to everyone. And at first we were going off of like art commission, like they would make a commission from their art, but some of them were making, you know, way more. Yes. Some of them were making thousands, some of them were making, you know, not even close to that. So it was really skewed. And the thing is, like, they come in when we get a new artist, like they don't necessarily have an art that they're doing yet. They don't have like, I mean, they're creative and they have talent, but they don't necessarily have an art that they're doing yet. So I sit down and spend a few weeks just figuring out like, what are they good at? What do they enjoy doing? And then what can actually be turned into like sellable art?
Were you an artist yourself to know how to do all this?
No, I had to learn a lot. I mean, I've always been creative and like enjoyed art, but the art world I've had to learn so much. They work hard. They all have their own individual art. So like my goal is kind of like if you saw one of their pieces out in the world, you'd be like, oh, that's a Patrick Burke piece, or that's a DJ piece, you know, like, and they have collectors all over the world. They are very sought after.
How do you get it out to the world? For people to see it all?
Mostly, I mean, our Instagram is kind of the main place where we promote everything. And we have, we have a really loyal following and people, like I said, all over the world so when we do our art sales, it's open to anyone, anywhere. Mm-hmm. So usually it's like 50 to 75% of each from each art sale is going out of state.
So it's only certain times of the year that people can actually purchase? Or
right
they can
now,
check out your website and call you, or
soon we'll have art available kind of at all times.
Okay.
The way we have had it structured the past few years is we've had a couple of big auctions a year. We're restructuring it now that we've grown and I kind of have a team in place now. For a long time, it was really just me and volunteers, and I've had a few really great employees along the way, but it's been, nonprofit it's hard to sustain. Fundraising is so hard. But we're finally kind of in a place where we're building a team, and we will have we have an art show coming up, and then after that we'll have kind of art available all the time, because we have people all the time asking, to buy the art. So we want to make it available. So now that I kind of have the bandwidth and the team to help
people are
run
just
that.
so used to that. Like, we're so used to like shopping and getting it right now, and like having Amazon.
I know, exactly.
By 5, you know? Like,
and that's kind of, and I kind of love that there's a little bit of a scarcity around it. It's, it's kind of, it's special.
Makes it more special.
It's special to have a piece of, Sandal Gap art. Yeah. So.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, so you have the day program.
So we have that, and then we have kind of probably the program I'm most proud of is, it's called Close the Gap, and it is our third grade art program where the artists go into third grade classrooms during their art period.
Okay.
And they sit, so like one artist will be grouped with like 4 or 5 kids. And so they sit at tables, one artist, a few of the students, and they work on a little art project together that's just the same standard project. But the purpose of the program is to allow students to get comfortable with people with disabilities, people who are different, in kind of a really easy environment where they're working on something. So they're all kind of doing the same thing, and then the volunteers go around and kind of help facilitate conversations.
So your artists go into third grade classrooms.
Yeah.
I was kind of reading the website thinking the third graders had the time to come in.
Yeah, no, we actually go into schools. So it's life-changing. And the kids it's like, I always say, like, you can talk to a group of students, kids, or even adults. You can talk to them all day long and say, like, we need to be kind to everyone and be nice to people who are different. Like, it doesn't sink in until you, like, have built a bond. Like, until you've, like, actually sat down with someone and, like, gotten to know them, and like lots of times the kids are helping the artist, like if the artist is struggling, like their little buddy next to them will go like, can I help you with that? And then, and it gives them, it just changes everything.
Well, that's what they always say, like, whenever you're struggling with anything in life, go serve. You know what I mean? And people don't really have that opportunity that often. And,
right.
I think there's a school in Park City, Utah that does that, where each period that the kid goes to, you know how you have to switch classes 8 periods a day? Well, a kid would be assigned in that class that kid was in.
Right.
Each period, and then the next period would be another one. But the typical kid is getting...
Oh, yeah.
A lot. And so is the other kids getting like almost like a personal aid.
Yeah.
But it's a student.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And it's not some like old woman that walks in and you feel like you're this weirdo because you have this old lady beside you. It's a student.
Oh, that's
like
a great concept. I love that. Yeah, I think that I always say that like people often look at like places like ours, like Sandal Gap, like that they're coming in to serve our artists, to help them, to, support them. And they are. But at the end of the day, like our volunteers who come to the studio, like they're the ones being like, they're leaving with the most,
just learning to be like more like loving, and more accepting. And
I mean, when you walk in the studio, like a volunteer walks in and like everybody jumps up. I mean, they could have seen them yesterday and they're jumping up screaming, yes, you're here.
What do you think it is about kids with Down syndrome versus other disabilities that people are so drawn to kids with Down syndrome?
I think it's oftentimes, and now there's a lot of, I feel like, generalizations, but I do think that their basic demeanor is people are drawn to just their demeanor. Yeah. Now, I will say, like, my son right now, he's 21, and he's going through, like, a full, like, jerk phase where, like, he does not want to.
More than
he doesn't want to, like, talk to anyone, and people will try to, like, give him a high five or something, and he's like,
all my kids
whatever. Yeah. So there are some times where I'm like, people will say like, oh, they're always so happy, they're so sweet, and I'm like, no, come spend like 30 minutes with my son. Like it's not always.
And does it just happen later for kids with Down syndrome? Those puberty.
Yeah, Archie has gone like kind of. It's been a roller coaster with him since he was like maybe 18. He was like until that point, he truly was the happiest, sweetest kid you've ever seen. He was that generalization about kids with Down syndrome. He was so happy, so sweet all the time. And then it was kind of like an overnight. He was like, he got kind of, more introverted and didn't really want to be around people as much. But then he kind of came out of that. I mean, there was a time where my daughter Ace and I were like, is this it? Like, is this how he is now? Like, is this forever? Because we kind of can't handle this. And then he kind of came out of it. And it just depends. He's in a decent phase right now, but it is definitely it's up and down.
Like, would you recommend, if people are listening to you thinking like, I want to adopt someone with Down syndrome? Like, would you recommend where you went? Would you? What would your advice be?
Yeah, no, I get a lot of people come to me saying that they're like considering adopting a child with Down syndrome, and I'm pretty like honest about it. I'm like, I don't want to. I try not to like sugarcoat it too much. That it is not easy. I mean, you're committing yourself to a potentially lifetime of caretaking.
When you did it, were you like, okay, we'll accept these special needs, or you know what I mean? Like, because some of them have heart problems. Some of them, like, do you know?
We were pretty open to whatever. You don't. It depends on where the child is coming from. Like, even just like their specific orphanage. Like, I knew a lot more about Archie than I knew about Sevi. Like, I knew more of his like medical history and his family history and all that. I didn't really know anything about Sevi. She came home with all sorts of like, she had like some massive like dental issues where her teeth were like, I mean, not just from the fact that she was malnourished and they didn't brush teeth. Like, her teeth were so messed up. They said when I took her to the dentist for the first time, like they did x-rays and they said it looked like somebody like used her as like students like trying to do like cavity fillings. Like, she had like,
oh my God.
Yeah, she had like filling in her gums. So it was like all infected. And of course, I didn't know anything about this.
And when you took her to the dentist, did she just freak out? Like, I can't go to that kind of a place anymore?
She had to be put under. And then they got in there, and the dentist was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen." Came home, she had a like 5+ hour dental surgery, and it was intense. So stuff like that. I had no idea that was and that's so not
If someone wants to adopt and they go and they meet they meet somebody and they're just like, I can't take on these challenges, you can say to the orphanage like, I'm gonna wait for something else. You can my ability.
And you should. I feel like we had to actually decline a referral for a little boy. We were actually wanting to adopt a little boy who we had met in Archie's orphanage. Yeah. And that's how we found Sevi, because we originally went to adopt this little boy. And when I went on the first trip to meet him, I took Ace. It was just me, Ace, who was like 7 at the time, and Radko, my baby, who was just 1. We were like super attached, and he had just started walking, and I was like, I can't leave him for a week. Like, I just couldn't do it. So I booked him a ticket. He came too, which was the most insane experience of my life. Like, being in Bulgaria with
a 1-year-old.
Yeah, a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old, and like, oh my gosh! I always say like, if I could survive that, I can survive anything. But it was great that he ended up coming, because the little boy that we were looking to adopt was really aggressive, and anytime he came near him, he would like slam him down. And then one of the caretakers said to me, you will have to keep him separate from the baby. And I was like, well, that doesn't work for my life. Like, and I was devastated. I was in denial for several days, and I'm like, no, I this is why we're here. Like, but I was like, that doesn't work for my life. And you have to, I mean, like, you have to really be sure. And I think a lot about, in that sense, like having 2 kids with Down syndrome who were adopted. Like, there was a time where I was like, oh my God, like this is a lot, and this is going to be
my life.
This is
forever.
It. Like, and there are, I mean, I still have moments where I'm like, holy crap, what in the world? Like, this is
that's
so
like my phrase.
hard.
My husband's like, you need to stop saying that, because I'll be like, what the happened in my life?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
And not everybody, not everybody gets it. But then I see those two together, and like I'm like, oh my, they are a little,
and they bonded
they're a
right
pair.
away?
Oh my gosh,
That's great.
They're like a little married couple. They fight, they bicker, but they are so protective of each other. They take care of each other. They are silly together. Archie's really great with Sevi in a sense that like she does, since she doesn't really speak, but she makes a lot of noises and sounds, and he kind of plays along with her and will like mimic her noises, and then she starts laughing, and it's this whole, they have this really cool little bond. And so I think a lot, I'm like, thank God I have both of them, because they have each other.
When you're going through it, are there any things to look for?
We found both Archie and Sevi through an organization called Reese's Rainbow. I'd be like scrolling through photos of like and I'm like, what the hell? This is weird. Like but then you kind of know, like when
well, it's like the dating apps. I mean,
right. It's a very odd thing to be, because you're looking at all these faces, and like, of course, like my heart broke for every single one of them. But when I, like, for example, when I first saw Archie's photo, I was like, that's my kid. Like that, like I had no doubt. And I had looked at hundreds of kids and babies. I mean, because really Ace was 2 at the time when we started the process. And I thought we were going to adopt younger than her. I was sure. I was certain. That was like my one thing that I was like, younger than Ace, because everybody would say like, don't adopt out of birth order. That was kind of like a big thing. And so I was like, okay, it's got to be a baby, or at least, a toddler. And then when I saw Archie and I saw that he was 7, I was like, I first just saw his information. So I saw his date of birth and I was like, nope, he's too old. And then I saw his picture and I was like, oh my God, like, no, that's our kid.
Yeah, when you
like,
look in the eyes or whatever,
I was like, that's it. So you kind of know. I mean, that's how it happened for me, and a lot of my friends have experienced
Joey
similar.
On board the same level as you?
Yeah, he was. I mean, it was definitely my lifelong desire. Yeah. But yeah, I had pulled him into that world pretty early on. I mean, because we started dating in high school, so he would babysit with me, my friend with Down syndrome, and so yeah, he was on board. He had kind of the same love.
When people want to help you with your studio, there's like donate ways, volunteer ways. Yeah,
lots of ways you can get involved. We have a great volunteer program. Our volunteers are the best, and a lot of them have been with me for 5+ years, and they come once a week, or more if they want, in kind of designated time slots. And then they just come and sit with the artists and help with whatever they need. So of course, we're always accepting donations. Fundraising is hard, and especially when it's something that we are there every day. I mean, we're not, we're operating at.
Well, and I heard you've hired people, so you need money to run it.
Yes, and we were at a point where it was like, okay, we can kind of stay here. And kind of keep doing what we're doing, but really I want it to grow and I want to expand. So
that's my next question.
And in order to do that, you have to have the people. So it's like,
because to think like there's so many kids that love to be resident artists.
I've had people for years from all over the country and world really reaching out and saying like, I would love to start a Sandal Gap in Denver or in wherever, so we're working kind of towards that. I would love for there to be Sandal Gaps, all over.
Yeah.
And so we're working on expanding our Close the Gap the School program. My dream for that is that it's like a standard program that's in every third grade classroom, I would love for every kid to go through that.
I hate how they seem to segregate kids with special needs into a separate room. Yeah. I know they sometimes try, but
yeah, it's not perfect. And some schools do a lot better job than others. But there's
your kids went to school.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it was, some years were better than others. It kind of depends on, the teachers, who's the principal. Yeah. It's like who's in charge really, and who do they really have a heart for our community. And
were you a big advocate or I don't know.
Yeah.
At all those IEP meetings.
I have friends who are much, much better at that part than I. Now, if I thought there was like a problem or something was wrong, I was up there, ready to burn places down. If I thought my kids were being mistreated in any way. But when Archie first came home, all I heard was full inclusion. You have to push for full inclusion. It has to be that way. That's the best way. It's the only way. And I thought that if I didn't get that I was failing as a mom, failing him. And so I pushed and pushed for it. And when he was younger, we had a lot of inclusion, and it was great. But as he got older, I realized he needs, like, he's not learning like algebra, and he's, you know what I mean?
You're like saying the same story as so many of our other guests and my other friends. Like, they pushed and they were the very, like, you know, I don't know, alternative, I guess is the word for everything. And then this one particular mom, I mean, she tells a story, but I think by the time our kid got into second grade, the child was stressed.
Right.
And the child wanted to be there. And then I have other friends now whose kids are in like first or second grade too. And they're loving their special ed teacher, and they all want to be in there together.
Yeah. Just, you got to just do what's best for your kid. I mean, there is not one way. And a lot of times I will see kids who, you know, their parents are pushing for, you know, full inclusion, and even in kind of upper grades, wanting them in the harder classes and stuff. And you know, maybe it works, but a lot of times it adds stress to.
Well, this has been so great. I'm going to definitely, now that Fritz is at school and when the fall comes back, in session,
come to Sandal Gap. You'll love it.
Volunteer.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's so much fun. All my volunteers are always like, this is the highlight of my week, because it's just such a fun, you know, it's a fun place, and the artists, you know, they love our volunteers. So come on anytime.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I'll make sure that we put like the studio and how people can donate, and your Instagram, which is so funny. You have to check out.
Thank you.
Real life stuff.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you so much, Lisa. All right. That's all for today. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.